You saw the latest tank.
Yes,
things,
I
right?
did.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
I know.
I can't believe you own that thing.
Well, I'm probably the only one that has a tank that brought his tank home from the military and actually got the tank. And I mean, it's not easy to do, but I mean, now I have it. I have a great time with it, and we use it, for raising money. And we just raised another $1 million for after-school programs by crushing things, a bunch of things with the tank.
That is a fun job to have.
Oh, yeah.
Just crushing
That's
stuff.
right. Well, what was fun about it is that you go and do a movie like Sabotage, right? And where you play a certain character and you have action from the beginning to the end and all this. But then after you finish with that, then you go in real life and also create the action, right? You step into your M47 tank, in the Patton tank, and you drive around and you go through living rooms and you crush cars and pianos and all this kind of things. So that's fun. Great
No,
life.
we didn't see a living room. I would like to see that.
Oh yeah, well, you see, when I was chairman of the President's Council on Fitness under Bush 1, I declared war on the couch potatoes. The people that just sit on the couch in front of the TV and just flip channels and that's it and don't go out and exercise. So we filled the whole couch with actual potatoes and then put it in the living room, and then I went with the tanks through the living room and crushed the couch potatoes. So that was the joke of the whole thing.
I like it. I like it. Well, speaking of characters, this is a really different character for you. Now you convinced David. You talked to him about doing a film with him, correct?
Well, I saw End of Watch,
Yeah.
and I just loved that movie, and I loved his writing. I mean, if it is Fast and Furious or if it is Training Day, I mean, he's just a brilliant writer, and he does things in such a realistic way. So I wanted to work with him. So when he rewrote that script, and put his kind of skills on that script, I mean, it became such a fantastic story, so intense, and you could really see it in front of you, how gritty it was, and how violent also it was. But I mean, how it was a realistic world by having, focusing on this whole team of SWAT, this whole SWAT team that infiltrates the drug cartel, but they've been so much in that dark world that they themselves became flawed, and that's where the conflict starts in a movie. And so in the end, there is no black and white. It's like just gray. We don't know anymore who is the good guy and the bad guy in the movie. And then, of course, I love the way he's like Jim Cameron, the way he introduces women in the movie, and the kind of great, strong characters he gives women. Like, Olivia Williams, I mean, she plays this investigator in a movie who is very pretty, very sexy, very smart, but also we find out that she's flawed. And so everything starts happening in this movie, and it gets more and more intense, and it's really a great suspense thriller, but with a lot of violence there.
Okay, I've got to say, I'm looking at your resume, and over the past couple of years, you've played a character named Big Dick Richie and Grinder, which is kind of funny.
I see where you're going with this. Yes.
No, this is a pretty incredible character, though. Grinder is a tough guy, and I'm not going to go too far with the sexual innuendo.
There is a strip club scene, so yeah.
Yeah, and you're working on a stripper documentary, too.
Yeah, I financed and directed a documentary called Le Bear that comes out June 27th in theaters. So it's about male strippers in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
The real life Magic Mike.
I was going to do that, but,
There's still time.
Yeah, the's still time for me, you think?
Great job.
Is it?
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I think it would be fun. But, what did you take from this character? What did you take from Grinder? Because all these guys are pretty morally kind of a little on the edge.
Morally?
Yeah.
Well, my character didn't want to be a part of the heist.
Yeah.
He's an honest guy. He doesn't care. It's not about the money for him.
Yeah.
He's this motorcycle riding, sleep on the ground. It doesn't matter. That's not important to him. What's important to him is the job. It's what he's good at. This is his skill set. He loves the hunt, and he then protects this group of people that he is a part of, this team. As soon as that becomes fractured, he's out. His entire reason for defending these people is gone, or even being there in the first place. It's not worth it to him. So, really, I think he's a voice of reason. He's a hammer of truth, and but he's also the last guy on earth that you ever want to mess with. He's the enforcer on a hockey team.
Yeah.
You know, you get in the game and you put a hit on, a questionable hit on Sidney Crosby, somebody's coming off the bench to take your head off. So that's my character. He's the last guy that you ever want to spill a beer on in a bar. So, you know, but what I took away from it, to get back to your question, I mean, what I took away from the movie is really how the world works.
Yeah.
You know, it really was like taking, you know, the pill in the Matrix and being shown how that there is this world that goes on a few miles away from where you live, and there's a war going on, and there are people fighting it, and there is good and evil.
Yeah.
And I think it was really eye-opening and shocking to me that's really how it is. You know, I had no idea.
Well, it humanizes it too, because it in the real world, not everyone is black and white. No, not everyone is high moral standing, or we all have faults. And David, I think, does that better than any director.
Yeah, and David writes for the street, and he writes what's going on. And he writes very gritty, realistic. You know, that scene in End of Watch where the feds come out and tell Jake Gyllenhaal's character, like, you just kicked this hornet's nest, you need to get out of here. You know, I saw that scene, and that scene really jumped out at me. So to be given a script that was basically an entire movie of that scene, like where those guys, I thought, okay, I'm in.
What is the biggest frustration for you guys when you see this job portrayed in film, generally?
People not getting it right. I mean, I should say from a it's hard for us, because we do this, to not look at a movie from a technical aspect. And personally, what bothers me the most is when you watch TV or a movie and you're like, oh my God, I don't know who the technical advisor on that show was, but that was awful. Or you can tell they have no police experience at all.
Yeah, but, you know, on the other side of it, like, you end to watch Sabotage now, at least the two films that I've been involved in. You know, David, he desires to have the truth. You know, this is the real part of it.
Yeah.
He just dives into it, and he's so smart anyways. He you know, his knowledge, and he researches, and he brings in the right people, and that's what you see in the movie from a technical standpoint, as far as the training and all that other stuff. So
how easy is it for the actors to kind of connect with these characters when you take on a cast?
You know, I look at it differently from a training perspective. I don't try to influence them on who their character is. That's what they do.
Yeah.
I just try to bring, like Jamie and I, we're just trying to bring the realness, the training, and then let it, you know, they ask a lot of questions about a lot of things, trying to educate themselves. It might be character involved or developing their character, but I typically don't give them input. Hey, I think you ought to do this. That's not my job.
Yeah. Coming from a real world experience, what oftentimes in films it's so, you know, they take it so it's not very intense. It feels very Hollywood, to put it. There's a difference with David when he approaches a film. Why do you think that is?
It's as we had touched on before, it's his real approach to any project Dave takes on. It is the research, it is the knowledge, it is bringing the experts. This is all part of a formula, ingredients, that if you look at all of David's films, they all have this in the background. I mean, we did the same thing with this movie. We got involved, you know, months ahead of time, and started training these guys and building this team up. So it's a formula. It's definitely a formula.
What is the training process for you guys? So it's from day one.
Everything from combatives, meaning fighting, to weapons handling on the range, tactical training, developing mindset, this whole concept of a team. And how it works, you know, and we got to be raw and real with them, and that's kind of how it starts.
And let everyone find their place in the team. I mean, everybody fills a different role in the team.